Calm it down, ladies. I know I'm a very, very attractive young dude. Welcome back to Movies TV Mag and Wednesday's edition of the DCU Daily. We're getting closer and closer to the global release of James Gunn's Superman. Can you smell that? I smell fear from WB Discovery, WB Pictures, DC Studios, James Gunn, Peter Safran, and a lot of them. And there was a very, very interesting article about how much this film cost to make and how much would be acceptable by the studio for it to take in. Now, the rap who is rowing the boat for WB don't trust Humberto Gonzalez and don't trust the rap when it comes to anything DC WB right now, because they are selling propaganda for that studio as part of that fear. So Humberto Gonzalez and the rap write that James Gunn's Superman cost around $220 million to make. Man of Steel, because before I did this video, I went to my Alexa, right? And I asked Alexa how much the budget was for Man of Steel, around 166 million. Right, go and watch all the trailers we've seen for James Gunn's Superman. Then go and watch the visuals for Man of Steel. Crazy that a film that looks amazing, that's over 10 years old, only cost 166 million. Wow. Then you imagine Bryan Singer burning 300 million of WB money. Where did it go? Well, I've explained that to you before. On a Return to Krypton sequence, a beautiful sequence they never actually put in the movie. And isn't that so WB? So yes, Humberto Gonzalez told us that the movie cost around 220 million. I would say, because this guy Gonzalez must have a nose coming down here. His nose is probably bigger than what's down in his boxer shorts. That wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, this guy is a bullshitter. 220 million. If Gonzalez is saying this film cost 220 million, then you can bet your bottom dollar it definitely cost around 250, 270, and maybe reports of it, going over 300 million could be true. Look, let's be clear about this. Gunn's Fortress of Solitude looks stunning. That cost a lot of money. To do the robot special effects in the Fortress of Solitude would have cost a lot of money. And let's not forget, a CGI dog, is front and center in this movie. Having a CGI dog isn't fucking cheap, right? So I don't believe this film cost 220 million. I think the rumors of, the budget going way up to 300 million and beyond are true. So Humberto Gonzalez claims it only needs to make, listen to this, if you want a good laugh, it only needs to make 500 million at the global box office to make a profit. Or as they put it, break even. So that's bullshit, right? This film cannot make 500 million and be called a success. But according to Humberto, because he's obviously got a line into the studio will not accept anything below $700 million. That's the magic mark, because they can say, well, we made more money than Man of Steel. And 700 million, I suppose, is a respectable figure, but let's be honest about it, it ain't a great figure. But here's the truth. Is it going to make anywhere near 700 million? I suppose they believe that they could just get to 700 million and call that a win. Now, 700 million isn't exactly a loss, right? Listen, I'm not going to do what other Snyder fans do, who are calling the Batman at 750 million global box office a flop, just because it didn't make as much as BVS, a film with Superman and Batman in. That's bullshit. As I said before, I don't have an agenda against Gunn. I have an agenda of great DC, and DC being the greatest it can be. And Superman is my character in fiction, so I want him to be great. And if he's great, and if this movie's great, it could make more than 700. 700 is a respectable figure, just like 650 million was a respectable figure back in the day for Man of Steel, considering it only cost 166 million to make. It was a winner. It made money. Simple as that. It made money. The WB, quite rightly, expected it to make more money, needed it to make more money, but it was too divisive, like BVS was. Too divisive to make the $2 billion that WB wanted. And that's the issue with the Snyderverse. As much as I love those movies cooked. I don't care what anyone says. But to me, this article from The Wrap and Humberto Gonzalez is exactly what you think it is. It's exactly what you've guessed it is. It's fucking fear. Because it sounds like they're worried that they're barely going to cross 500 million. Because believe you me, those estimates you heard the other day of it beating Man of Steel are from a site called Box Office Theory. So what they say means nothing. For the people who say, oh, well, they got the Thunderbolts box office right. Well, who wouldn't have got the Thunderbolts box office right? It didn't make bank. And could it be that no comic book movie is successful this year? James Gunn's Superman is coming. We've just seen some posters. Some very, very cringy, cheap looking posters of the Justice Gang. When I saw a poster of Crypto, I thought someone was on a fucking wind-up. When you see James Gunn promote something like the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, or Guardians of the Galaxy, you think it's pretty cool. But he's gone even more James Gunn than normal James Gunn for the marketing of Superman. And the way he's going around promoting Peacemaker 2, while there's a Superman movie coming out a month before, it makes no fucking sense. Nothing they do makes fucking sense. So if this movie is successful, it's despite these people, not because of them.